There's more research today suggesting playing a single-season football changes the brain development in kids and teens. We're not talking about concussions. We're talking about changes that may delay how a young kid's brain should develop. Researchers at UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas put sensors in the helmets of 60 youth football players and studied the results of high-impact hits to the head. When the researchers studied MRIs of those players with the most hits, they found changes in the brain's gray matter, suggesting a delay in the brain's efficiency. It's a small preliminary study, but KXAN's Sally Hernandez talked to a local doctor about the potential impact.
As a mom reading this study with a little one who is asking about football, should you be concerned when it comes to that part of the brain that is seeing changes with this study with just one season of football, not repeated seasons?
There's no guarantee that just because you have some changes on an MRI that necessarily translates into diminished function, but that's a concern. So whether these changes are merely troubling or whether it's the beginning of something that is longer term issue, I think remains to be seen, and particularly in younger children where the brain is not fully developed yet.
And why is that important when we talk about how a child's brain isn't fully developed and what this study suggests?
When you're born, the brain is not fully developed, and so obviously we're not talking about newborns, but the process continues on up through childhood and even through adolescence. And there's a belief that an injury to a brain that is still developing is likely to be more damaging, say, than the same kind of force in a brain that's already fully developed.
What does that say to me if I'm a parent with a kid in football?
That's a very difficult question, particularly right here in Central Texas where football is so big. Several million children and adolescents in the United States play contact football. I think that it raises some issues.
With the evidence that we have and the evidence that you have seen in the research, any advice that you would have for parents then for concrete knowledge and not just concerns and what if questions?
Golf's a nice sport.
Pretty interesting stuff. Dr. Roach says that he wants to see more studies on the sport and fellow researchers agree because with this latest study, they didn't find any noticeable change in the personality of the young football players with the brain changes, but they do suggest that further long-term studies are needed to explore the concern a little bit more. We're joined now by Chris Tavares with KXAN Sports. With the emergence of CTE, there's more emphasis on helmets and what's in them. What do you know about that?
Yeah. Brain safety, helmet safety has become a huge emphasis across the board, across all levels of sports. One of the big things that we've seen is the use of Guardian caps. Those are those padded cushion protections that they put over the helmet in football practice. They don't wear them in the game, but they wear them in practice to help reduce the trauma, lessen the impact that the head might receive. You see it all across the board. University of Texas uses it. High school football teams use it. Cedar Park, I believe, has been using it for multiple seasons. We did a story on them when they first came out. And it's all about just reducing the impact that the brain takes whenever it does have an impact to the head.
A lot of doctors are finally taking a look at this and hopefully going to...
A long time coming and a long way to still go.